Good morning. It's February the 13th. It is 5:41 in the morning. It is a Sunday. It's the end of our week, fellas. We've got almost half of the month finished. And here we are. Man, this month is moving by really, really quickly. And I think it's because I'm not really keeping track of what I'm doing as diligently as I was a few months ago. I want to take you guys back to last Sunday evening. Last Sunday evening, I had told you guys the story about my cell phone blunder, the Google Pixel 1, and that ended up being a really, really long story. I promise this story won't be as long. But on Sunday evening, I find myself sitting at a table on what seems to be the typical height of a Vietnamese plastic chair. It's almost where my knees are touching my chest. And it's been a long time since I've sat on one of these chairs. But more than that, I'm sitting at this table and I'm looking at the food that's in front of me. And it's food I've never seen in my life. There's something that's called bap thao that I'm looking at, and it kind of looks like a black gelatin, a little bit more translucent than the actual color black, more like an olive color. And I'm really not sure what that thing is. Is it meat? Is it a vegetable? Like, it's just one of those colors, like you're just not sure if somebody overcooked it in the kitchen or that came from underneath the ground. So anyway, on the tables there in front of me, the other foods like fish cake and pickled onions. And it's been a really long time since I've had a meal like this, in this position, as my knees continue to bump my chest. Come to turn out, it's a food called bap thao, which is a fermented kind of egg. And they say take a bite, have at it. So I do. I cut it up and I spread a little bit of their pate on it, while I've got my pickled onion on the tip of my spoon, because we don't use forks here. And I take a bite of it, and the first thought I think to myself is, my typical American friends could not eat this. It is a combination of fermentation, of rotten eggy vinegar flavor, but for some reason I don't hate it. And so I go in for another serving of it, and they're more than willing to share, because we're sitting at a table of a family that we've never been to their house before, let alone eat a meal with them. And this family has been studying with my wife for quite a long time now. The wife has been studying, but the husband not so much. So that's the wife's hope, is that through this meal, hopefully, we can be friends, and we can hopefully show him the better side of the organization and how we treat each other with love and respect, and we can also have a good time. So they've invited us to their house to have a meal with them, and along the side with them is their little child. She's about 10 years old, little cute girl. So I'm eating this meal, and this is just the appetizers, and I just can't believe what's on my plate, because I'm thinking to myself, I haven't had such a Vietnamese meal in my life. And I'm not talking about the Asian fusion Vietnamese meals that you typically may have in America. Like, when you think Vietnamese food, what's the first thing you think about? Probably you think about a bowl of pho, or there's some other famous dishes like bún chả, bánh xèo, cam tam. Like, these are traditionally Vietnamese. These are Vietnamese dishes, but I'm talking about like traditional Vietnamese dishes that have been fused by Chinese culture, because this meal feels almost very, very Chinese. We've got the fish cake, our bap thao, or is our fermented egg with a rotten vinegary taste. Our củ cải, our chancho, our pickled onions. What else is there? Pate. Like, how many times have you ever seen this kind of entrees? And these are just the appetizers that are in front of the table. So anyway, I need to stand up now because my legs are finally starting to go to sleep because in the position that they're at. So instead of standing up, and I just kind of spread my legs a little bit wider and continue on with the meal. So the meal comes out, and they're eating lao, which is a type of Vietnamese hot pot, and it's family style. So everybody puts their dishes into the middle, and they put their meats and they put their vegetables. And he had meatballs, and then just looking at our meal, you start to put in your noodles, which is probably like our Simon noodles in Hawaii. It's noodles that are just pre-packaged, and you put it in for a couple seconds because the water is already boiling, and then you take it out and you serve it. So he had that, and he had banh pha, which is the pho noodles. So he said, which noodles would you like? And I said, surprise me. So he gave me a combination of both. So anyway, throughout the night, we're just eating this meal, and I'm just thinking to myself, it's been a long time since I've been in Vietnam that I've had this kind of really Vietnamese experience where I have not necessarily control, but I have no influence on this meal whatsoever. You know, they have made no concessions to, oh, he's the foreigner, and we probably should serve, I don't know, something more foreign in the morning. No. This meal is just very traditional, and I like it. It's been a long time. You know, if every time my wife makes a meal, like we have some Vietnamese food at times, but we also have like chicken thighs, you know, that's been roasted in the air fryer. Like we have a combination of these meals, like a little bit American or, you know, Western, and a little bit Vietnamese. But today is a Vietnamese meal, and I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying it. Would I choose to eat it every day? No, probably not. Absolutely not. I'd probably get bored of those meals very quickly. So with the foods that I'm not accustomed to, it comes a point in the night where the friends just start rapping with each other, just rapping. They're talking, and like I get completely lost. You know, I'm trying to keep up with what they're talking about, and I know they're talking about real estate. I can catch that much. I can hear the prices that they're saying, and you know, mind you, I've been in Vietnam now for almost a decade, and I've been in Vietnamese for well over a decade now, and this is the first time again I'm having one of these other experiences. Not only is the meal in front of me very Vietnamese, but also the conversation around me puts me into a place where it feels like I'm like in my first few years of studying Vietnamese. I am completely lost, and I am loving it. I look at everybody talking, and they see me looking at them, and they kind of smile because they know what's up. They know that this foreigner, as you know, they know I speak Vietnamese because, you know, I've talked to them before, but they know at this point that this foreigner is lost, and they know it. And so I'm looking around, just kind of smiling, and yeah, everybody's kind of giving me that, yeah, it's a lot right now. But anyway, we're going back to the conversation, and they go at it for like an hour. It's an hour, and I text my wife. I said during the conversation, because I don't want to interrupt and say, like, lean over to my wife and kind of make a scene, right? And so I pull out my phone, and nobody cares about phones anymore. It's not the etiquette of it, especially for someone who they know is lost in the conversation. So I pull out my phone, I text my wife. I say, I started at 100%. I quickly ended up at 50. And I said, now I'm at 15% of what I am understanding in this conversation. And it was one of the most hilarious things that I've experienced in a long time. Just being so lost in a country that I love, in a conversation that I love, in a language that I love, but knowing absolutely not being able to laugh when they're laughing. Really took me back to the very first time when I set myself to do this language was when I was at a convention, and someone had made a joke from the stage, had said something funny, and next to me were my Vietnamese friends, and then to the left of me was a person named, what was her name? She had been Vietnamese for decades by that point. Rochelle. Anyway, the professor makes a joke, and then I look to my left, and I hear the eruption of laughter in the convention. And then I look to my left, and that white sister is also laughing. And I'm like, you know what? I want to laugh too. I want to be able to hear something from the stage and laugh along with everybody else. And that was really a driving motivation for me. So anyway, find myself at this table with some nostalgic, I won't call it nostalgic food in front of me, with a conversation that I don't understand, and I'm having a really, really good time. I am, because for the very first time, I feel lost. Very first time in a long time, I feel lost in the conversation that's in front of me. And yeah, it's a feeling that I haven't had in a long, long time. I will note something though, that I noticed something with the witnesses and with non-witnesses. Every dish that came out, and this kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. Every dish that came out, they were talking about the price. So they'd bring out like the meat, you know, it's like, oh, this is like $35 a pound. Or they bring out something else like, oh, this is $50 a pound. And this is flown in from Hanoi, you can't buy it here in the city. And this is $60 a pound. You know, everything that came out, I'm exaggerating a little bit right now, but everything that came out, they had to make it a point to tell us how much it cost. And that rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. I understood that and I told Hung, I said, like, just use good adjectives, you know? This is rare, you can't really find this, and I appreciate that. And when I heard that, I'm like, wow, these people really, really want to make a good impression, take care of us. But as soon as they started dropping the prices, I kind of felt like it flipped a little bit. Instead of like saying, I want to give the best, like, let me tell you how much this is. And that rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. But maybe that's the culture, maybe that's the way that the world is, and it's just something I'm not exposed to at all, ever, because my whole life is being a witness. And so my wife said, yeah, that is pretty common with when she was going out with her father, and her father would have all of his friends, like, that would be pretty common for them to do. So I said, why do they do that? Is it because they want to show you that they are giving you the best, or is it kind of like they want to make a show of what they've got? And I know this family who invited us, they love us, and I thank them very much I thank them for their generosity very, very much. But it almost was like a habit. Like, as soon as something came out, they had to tell us the price. Like, this thing came out the price, except for the things that were really, really cheap, right? So like, I got a can of Sting, or I had a water bottle of Aquafina. Like, those things are not led along with a price tag attached to it. But yeah, I don't know. Any thoughts on that? If you got any comments on that, leave it down below. And maybe something that you felt that you've been lost in a good way or a bad way. When's the last time you've been lost in something? And yeah, let us know down in the comment section. Thank you guys very much for checking me out. It is a Sunday. It's gonna be a rest day, and getting ready for next week. I'm not 100% sure what's gonna be happening next week, but I'll figure it out at the end of this day. Tomorrow is Super Bowl, so that's what I'll be doing first thing in the morning. So I'll make a video tomorrow, but Super Bowl tomorrow, and I don't know who I'm rooting for, but I'm just using that time to make memories and have a good time with some of the friends. Love you guys. Aloha. Take care, and then we'll see you guys tomorrow.